Hi mate, how's it going? Welcome on back to Football Therapy with me, your host Jan. I hope you're doing well, mate. I really do hope that in these turbulent, difficult times as Chelsea fans, what will become of us? A sense of apathy is sort of drenching into the final run-in of the season. It does feel like, yes, Champions League football is gone. It's gone. I'm sorry to report. Regrettably, I report it's gone. But there's still an FA Cup there. Should we ever learn how to play football well again? It's 2 games. We're 180 minutes away of winning the first FA Cup in best part of a decade for Chelsea Football Club. And that's, of course, qualifying for a Europa League place. How the mighty have fallen. Europa League, which, of course, doesn't look like we'll even qualify in the Premier League finishing. Unless, if we won every single game to the end of the season, there's a chance to still get Champions League, and there's a weird scenario where Villa fall out, win the Europa League 6th place. I don't know what it is, 6th place might get it. But the truth is, gang, we're looking at what we're seeing in front of our eyes, and it's pretty poor. In fact, it's very bad and concerning. Players need to be sold. There's protests in the street. And we're being linked to Diego Simeone, which I must say is very funny. And we're going to get into all of that today. With some maybe, a touch of the cap to Frank Lampard and maybe Nicholas Jackson for their achievements away from Chelsea. Alejandro Garnacho to be sold. He's really going through it at the moment. You got Mason Mount liking BBC posts about the Bluco protests, but that in a way would be like Mount's, connecting to the Chelsea fans, but he is not on good terms with Chelsea fans the way he was shushing them, so he is now the enemy. We'll be referencing TalkSport for the Garnacho transfer. Keris Jones's piece on The Athletic about the protest in a little bit more detail, because it's not been, I think, probably the best example of it being covered. And football transfers published today on Liam Rosenior edges closer to the sack as Chelsea go all out, quotation marks, for shock replacement. Spoiler, it's Simeone. And I think, yes, I'll give you my thoughts on that, guys. So keep it locked in. First of all, a big congratulations to Chelsea all-time goal scorer and legend Frank Lampard for, of course, getting Coventry City promoted back into the Premier League for the first time in over a quarter of a decade. He's just won EFL, Championship Player of the Season. He's been incredible since taking over with them. They score so many goals. They've been really, really excellent in a very difficult season. Like he said, no parachute payments, 25 years out of the Premier League. He's been brought in, playoffs first season, promotion and probably title winning second season. So congratulations to Frank Lampard, Chelsea legend. Also similarly, I suppose, congratulations to Nicholas Jackson, who has won the Bundesliga. Yep. Very much a bit part player, but he did. He won it. He went on loan to Bayern Munich, played a few games, scored a few goals, and has won the title. So congratulations to him. He's also had a very peculiar season, of course, with the whole AFCON controversy. So nice moment for him. God, I mean, obviously, it would have been incredible if they didn't win the Bundesliga. So it's kind of par. He probably would have liked to have been more involved than he had been, but still, he's won it. So well done, Nico. Probably see you in the summer now. Maresca's gone. But who knows? You're probably going to get sold as well. Speaking of being sold. Oh yeah, guys, by the way, just housework. Thanks for joining me, for liking and subscribing. And if you do use podcast platforms, please do consider following and 5-star reviewing Football Therapy Podcast, which is, of course, this content in podcast format. I am delighted to have you along for the content ride here on Football Therapy. And, of course, really grateful for over 1,200 5-star reviews on Spotify. And for those of you who use Apple Podcasts, for those of you with iPhones, if you could give me a 5-star review and a follow on Apple, that would be great. Cheers. Thank you. Right, look at this then. Chelsea want to sell a £40 million signing after less than a year because I'm sorry, it just ain't working out. This is on TalkSport. As you can see here, Alex Crook and Alex Conrad. Two Alexes digging out Alejandro Garnacho. Yeah, he's not been good, has he? Scored a couple of useless goals in the end against Arsenal. Look, you know, Man United fans hate him because of his behaviours previously. I think Chelsea fans were underwhelmed by the signing. I think when we heard we might get him for 25 million, it was like, yeah, he's definitely worth that because, you know, Man United fans wanted to sell him for 70. He was their star boy at the time, despite his behaviours. They wanted 70 million. We wanted 25 million. He went for 40. Chelsea fans were a bit like, meh. Man United fans still think he went for too little. And like all Man United players who go elsewhere, whether it's Rashford, Sancho, or indeed in this instance, Alejandro Garnacho and Anthony at Betis, they seem to be good citizens elsewhere. There was just something, I'm not saying it's happening now at Man United, it all looks pretty rosy over there, but at the time there was something toxic over there that these young players were having a rough time and they all went elsewhere and, you know, behaved better. Similarly, the case with Garnacho, the opportunistic signing. There he is. Yep. That's pretty much how we all feel right now. Garnacho. Chelsea's stance represents a staggering fall in grace for Garnacho, given he only just joined the club last August. This is Chelsea wanting to sell him. The Argentinian arrived at Stamford Bridge from Man United, where he showed plenty of promise. Yeah, at Man United, I think you're saying, but was deemed unsuitable for then manager Ruben Amorim's rigid tactical structure. It would have been interesting to see how he would have played under someone like Carrick. But since moving, the 21-year-old has struggled to live up to his price tag, and even that price tag is relatively, it was seen as a market opportunity. He's struggling to live up to the market opportunity price tag, which is pretty funny. Although he has 8 goals and 4 assists. That does genuinely quite surprise me. For the Blues this term, only 5 contributions have come in the league. Yeah, it's been hard. Additionally, his goals were spread across, yeah, I mean, look, the 2 goals against Arsenal, it looked like it could be a huge moment for him. But, you know, didn't happen. A number of Red Devil stars added their voices to the mockery in the comment section. Yeah, he Shaw posted like a picture of him. I think it was this picture. I thought it was an even worse picture than that. But yeah, I think there was another one of him on the floor. I mean, fair play, you know, all fair in love and war. Apparently, Bruno Fernandes, who is the captain of Man United, replied, "That's a violation." Jesus, is that what like 30-year-old captains are saying now these days? Anyway. So Garnacho and his Chelsea teammates will look for an immediate response against Brighton. I can't wait till the season is over. We'll speak about the protests next, and then managers who have Simeone. But and don't worry, I'm not going to speak about the protest every video. It's you know, I was waiting for like a good piece on it by The Athletic because it's important to reflect on good reporting on big stories, of which it is one. Yep. Go to Brighton. They drew to Spurs. It's a must-win match for the Blues. Every game has been done, but the thing is, there's a sense of apathy now. Like, it's almost like tank the season so we don't end up in the friggin' Conference League again. Excuse me, I'm just burping up my breakfast again. That's delightful. I'm probably being a little bit too miserable. I apologise. Let's move on and speak about something really positive. And that is fans marching in the street against Chelsea. Disillusioned and frustrated, Chelsea fans protest. We were left with no other option. And as you can see, there's been some good pictures, good optics in terms of the movement from the people and the mobilisation. Keep saying, I think it's really important, even though I don't think Blueco are just going to sell, they're not going to get an easy ride from the Chelsea fans, who, by the way, This can't get lost in the wash. Chelsea fans were patient. They were patient. Yeah. They knew, for Roman's gone, that kind of ownership doesn't exist anymore. Fine. Sanctions, difficulty, lots of churn, fine. If you want to do churn, fine. And that will come with growing pains, fine. Teething issues, fine. I personally think Chelsea fans have been actually quite patient. A lot of people, like my mate is a United fan, was messaging me, why are they protesting? And I was like, you don't understand. Like, there has been patience. This is... It took the Super League before, and the Ricketts, to be fair, that smaller No to Ricketts campaign, but that was more about the type of people in terms of who they are, rather than their plans, owning Chelsea. But Keris Jones writes this on The Athletic. The side streets of Fulham are used to football fans, but they're not what unfolded Saturday evening, just over an hour before kickoff, in Chelsea's 1-0 loss to Man United. We just lose every game, and we never score. That's our thing. A crowd began to gather outside the corner of Stamford Bridge. Several hundred fans were holding banners and making their voices heard. So you can't... Several hundred. I mean, not a project at over 1,000. I'm not sure. That might be a bit ambitious. Certainly over 500. I need to sneeze. One sec. Oh, Jesus. Sorry, my face just exploded. Yeah, hundreds of fans. Were holding up banners, making their voices heard. Their frustration with the owners, Blue Co, of course, which is a consortium led by Bowley and Clearly Capital, bubbling into organised action, much more organised this time. Diners eating al fresco nearby looked politely bemused by the bright blue flares and the booming chants that were interrupting their Aperol spritzes. What's going on here? On the Fulham Road, on the Broadway. Protests have been fairly rare at Chelsea, and demonstrations against the current ownership, particularly one held before a home game against Brentford in January, have seemingly struggled to settle on a single message, and of course this has been a huge problem. But the time was clear, held up a huge white banner from the front of fans of supporters of sister club as well, Strasbourg, Blue Co, out. Quote from the guy from Not a Project: "We're very disillusioned with the direction of the club and the way it's going at the moment," which I think's pretty fair. The best way to unify the fan base, really, I think, at this point, is to push the message of Blue Co out. I don't have any faith in them at this point, and I think we're left with no other option. I think also, personally, it's just an easy... In the same way it's easy to sing Roman Abramovich in the stands, without bringing the geopolitics into it and without fans actually expecting Abramovich to just manifest as Chelsea owner again. It's about more of just the short, concise, loaded message. Whereas I think Blue Co out is the same. So, even if there is like a reality where they think they're not going to just sell up all their shares for their stockholders and yada, 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 and it's going to be an impossibility or whatever, you can't do this really like nuanced, like slightly alter the model and restructure the finances and more experience and in the same way you chant Roman Abramovich, you chant Blue Co out. Now look, does the vast majority of these people marching in the street want Blue Co out? Yeah, of course. But I think it's helpful, personally. I know a lot of people say, some people are like, why are they even bothering? I think it is important to have your voice heard regardless. Because it has been crap, man. It's been crap. There's been a few hits, but there's been way too many misses. And I think the direction of travel is so clear and palpable at the moment that, send a clear, concise, punchy message, After a positive start under Rosenior, Keris continues to write about, speaking of course, Rosenior coming in after Maresca and all the turbulence. It's our fourth consecutive Premier League loss. Without scoring a single goal, leaves us 6th in the table, 7 points behind 5th place Liverpool. Yeah, we ain't catching them, man. A pack of cards, even if we beat them, is it Anfield we play them? It's still 4 points, and we'd have to win every game and pray it's just not happening. We don't even score goals, mate, let alone win games. A pack of clubs are breathing down their necks, of course, as well, and no European competition altogether is a very real reality for Chelsea Football Club. Protesters' complaints on Saturday varied. Some sported signs about highlighting heavy spending. Multiple fans unhappy with the player recruitment. The ownership's focus, of course, on youth is coming under increasing scrutiny. I mean, I think that's been scrutinised for a while now, with suggestions recently including from Clearlake Capital co-founder Badadik Barley and head coach Rosenior that that strategy is coming. Well, Rosenior, if we are to believe this last story after this, which, spoiler, I don't, a big tweak is coming to the model that might see you go as well, mate, but we'll see. Sorry, I've got some crazy hay fever. I shouldn't be sniffing into the mic. It's gross. I'm sneezing all the time. The chance for Roman Abramovich, which persist in spite of the circumstances in which he had to sell the club, and the recent punishment doled out by the Premier League for the rule breaking under his ownership, highlighted that many of Blue Co's approach as inferior to their former owners. Yeah, of course, Chelsea, Roman Abramovich getting extra heat because Chelsea were cheating. They were cheating, basically, and all that sort of rhetoric. The name of the groups organising the protest are Not a Project points to a frustration of what some feel is a strategy failing to deliver on-pitch success at the speed they want. And like I said before, Chelsea have been patient, the fans, in my opinion. At the heart of a supporter concern is a simple point. The current model has demanded a huge amount of faith from the fan base while giving too little clarity in return. And this is from the Chelsea Supporters Trust, I believe. Yeah, there you go. Mic drop. And there has been, like I say, without take a shot every time I say Chelsea have been patient. The patience has been there. They've waited. And there's no reason to have faith at this point. We're fighting against a multi-club ownership ever since Clearlake and Blue Co took over, says Alex, a spokesperson for Strasbourg. We've been doing a lot of things inside the stadium, in Strasbourg, outside the stadium, and now we're coming to London. It's another way. It's the first reason for coming to London. And the second is we've got in touch with the Chelsea people from Not a Project. And we actually saw that we had a lot in common. We had the same troubles. We had the same problems with the owners. So it came up pretty straightforward. The idea, we should make a common protest. And I think that's unheard of. Yeah, there's only about 30, but it doesn't really matter that it was 30 because it's novel. It's pretty profound. It's potent. Further actions are planned, Cook said, but now the aim was the media coverage to highlight that the investors... to the investors that this is failing. Yeah, the investors in Clearlake are going to be like, guys, we put millions of pounds into this and this is what the product is. The fans to your product are in the streets protesting. Guys, is my money safe? That's what we're hearing so much. And of course I've already covered the Badadik Barley comments on tweaking the model, changing the model. I think Liam's the guy. I don't know. I think maybe. And will there be change? Which brings us to land nicely with the final story of today's content. This is on football transfers. Liam Rosenior edges closer to sack, who's, by the way, been here for 3.5 months. Chelsea go all out for shock replacement. And it is a shock replacement because it's Diego Simeone. Before I read this, let me just serve you up a little bit of context. Simeone, by the way, he does feel, in many ways, like quite Chelsea, like old Chelsea. Like he gives Mourinho and Conte, doesn't he? And maybe even shades of Tuchel. And he doesn't play sexy football. He never has. Chelsea never demanded sexy football. Never have. It was only Roman, really, that wanted to turn us into Barcelona for a small time. But Chelsea just want to win. They want passion. Simeone probably suits... Chelsea start as a character, but Simeone also, I don't think he speaks English. I think he's the highest paid manager in world football, which might shock you, but if you learn about what he delivered to Atletico Madrid, he as an individual, he's won 2 La Liga titles with them. He's taken them to a Champions League final. Obviously, they built the Wanda Metropolitano. He was so transformative that he was like the figure. So he's the highest paid manager. I think he's more paid than, whatever people were getting at Real Madrid, Pep at Barcelona, Klopp and stuff. He gets the most money. So the fact how Chelsea have been dishing out these 6-year contracts to championship managers, probably on very little money, to suddenly try and go and get the highest paid manager in the world who doesn't work with children, who famously works with 37-year-old centre-backs, is Godin still playing football? This is Chelsea news on Football Therapy. This is all over the headlines, so I am reacting to it, but I'm telling you the reality as well. He likes old players. He gets paid a lot of money. This is the most... If they go for this, it will be funny as heck, because it will mean they completely rip up everything they've tried to do, which might come as a positive surprise for some Chelsea fans. But I don't think it would be the correct decision. I think it would be mental. He wouldn't concede goals. He'd demand standards. And Griezmann was magnificent under him, so maybe Palmer could still play well underneath a manager like Simeone. But you should be throwing the bag at, your Xabi Alonso's, your Cesc Fabregas's, your Nagelsmann's. Do you know what I mean? These guys really... Tuchel, he's obviously never going to work under this ownership again. He's been sewn down. I mean, the best thing they could have done is been get Tuchel back. I don't know. Again, there has been revisionism of how Tuchel... It's the same with Maresca. My friend Nick Valani was talking about on the Londoners Blue pod today, if we had Maresca, we'd definitely be in top 5 still. I think he's forgotten that we had 1 win in 8 after Maresca in the league. I think it's a squad building issue. I don't know, man. Let's read what Cameron Smith of Football Transfers is saying. Liam Rosenior is under huge pressure at Chelsea after their 4th consecutive Premier League defeat without scoring a goal. Oh, there's that line again. The Blues fell to a 1-0 loss. Yada, yada, yada. Don't want to hear that. The West London Giants, don't want to hear us be called that either, are also 3 points clear of 12th place Fulham. Heck, I don't want to hear that either. Widespread reports have confirmed Rosenior won't be sacked if Chelsea fail to secure Champions League qualification, with a review of his position not expected to take place till 2027. But the Stamford Bridge hierarchy could be forced to change if their slump continues. Yeah, but your change... So, how is that a Simeone button? That never makes sense. Chelsea has spent close to €2 billion on transfers since Bluco arrived in 2022. However, they're yet to challenge for the Premier League title under their new owners, while they have currently 22 points behind leaders Arsenal. Rosenior signed a 6.5-year contract. Upon his, if you don't laugh, gang, then you will cry and scream and convulse in the fetal position in your bath with a cold shower on you. What am I saying? But a large section of the club's fans are eager for him to be sacked due to their dismal recent form, and is reported now a managerial replacement can happen in the summer. Right. So, it won't come as the biggest of surprises to you, gang, but Chelsea have prioritised youth in their managerial recruitment over the last few years. But Spanish outlet, and I'm sorry, for Chaz, are saying they're willing to go all out to appoint Atletico Madrid boss Diego Simeone this summer. This also, the Sun, all right. Okay, so we've gone from Fachaz, which is the most ultimate BS Spanish outlet in world football. But now we've gone to the most reputable outlet ever, The Sun, in the UK, has confirmed Simeone is the bookies' favourite to replace Rosenior. While Nicolo Schira, which is a journalist, has also revealed that Chelsea are leaning towards sacking Rosenior in the summer. Let me just check something. To be fair, he is the bookies' favourites. Joint favourite with Felipe Luis. He'd probably make more sense, Felipe Luis, wouldn't he? I don't know, would he? He's never managed in Europe. He's only been Brazil. Oli Glasner, Xavi Hernandez, because why not? He's always in there. Andoni Iraola, De Zerbi, because who knows, maybe he'll leave after, if, hopefully, relegation happens to Spurs. And Fabregas and your Lampards and your Unais are down there as well. Well, what do you know? What do you know? I don't know. I do not know, but do you know? All I know is things are real bad. Again, like, I always really want to use that. I might learn that, like, that speech from Network. And, maybe when I move and I'll have a proper desk and I'm going to set up, like, a proper set. Like, I don't need to tell you things are bad. You know things are bad. It's, like, crazy. It's like everybody's going crazy. Yeah, apparently Bryan Cranston did it live on stage. Some of you may be interested to know. More interesting than Chelsea. Will we ever score a goal ever again? Under Liam Rosenior at Chelsea, will we ever keep a clean sheet? Will Palmer ever look good again? Will João Pedro and Estevão return? Will we smile again? Will the sun shine on our faces? Will we even beat Leeds in the semi-final of the FA Cup? Well, keep it locked to Football Therapy and we will somehow navigate this turgid sewage cesspit pool swamp together. Hopefully come out clean the other side, Shawshank Redemption style. But in the meantime, I'll be here for you. So keep it locked, my friends. See you soon. Peace.